Hello, Yankee fans. My name is Cole, and welcome to the first episode of my New York Yankees podcast. I will be bringing you this show every 7 to 10 days, depending on scheduling and how many games there will be in that time frame. So let's get right into it. Today will be a 2017 Yankees preview and spring training review. 2017 brings a new era of optimism to the Bronx and the New York Yankees as the youth movement is in full swing. And spring training this year was our first chance to get a look at that young talent that Brian Cashman was able to bring in at the end of the 2016 deadline, with players such as Gleyber Torres and Billy McKinney, who came from the Chicago Cubs through a trade for Aroldis Chapman, and also Clint Frazier, who was acquired via a trade with the Cleveland Indians for Andrew Miller. They are just three of the names of a lot of top talent in this Yankees organization. And we got our first glimpse of that top talent in this year's spring training, and everyone, I mean everyone, was talking about one player in particular. That would be Gleyber Torres, the 20-year-old Venezuelan shortstop who, after his MVP performance in the Arizona Fall League, came to spring training and in 29 at-bats posted a .448 batting average with 13 hits, 2 home runs, and 9 RBIs. His performances at the plate, paired with his very, very good defense, have made people very confident in his ability to come to the major leagues and be a very effective player, possibly even all-star caliber. I know that's what I'm hoping. I know that's what Brian Cashman is hoping for, and I know that's what all Yankee fans are hoping for. That being said, though, he is yet to face any competition over AA level. In fact, he was just optioned down to Trenton Thunder, the Yankees AA affiliate, where he's expected to continue to develop his batting, continue to develop his fielding. We're going to definitely see him in AAA this season, and maybe if he does well enough, we're going to see him with the big league club around summertime. But that's enough about just one player. Let's talk about the Yankees spring training. They were able to post a very impressive 24-8 record, which gives the Yankee faithful a lot of optimism coming into the season. But the most interesting thing going into spring training this year were the multiple players competing for the same spots in the Yankee starting lineup, notably first base, right field, and the 4-5 spots in the rotation. So let's talk first base right now. 3 players were pegged to compete for the position coming into spring training this year, those players being Greg Bird, Chris Carter, and Tyler Austin. Greg Bird first broke through with the big league club in the summer of 2015, where he replaced Mark Teixeira, who had picked up an injury and would be out for the rest of the season. In his first few months with the big league club, Greg Bird could put up some very impressive numbers, so much so that people were pegging him to compete for the starting first baseman's position in the 2016 campaign. However, he picked up an injury in the offseason, tearing his shoulder labrum, and we lost him for the whole of 2016. And due to the length of time he was out and the nature of the injury, a lot of people doubted that Greg Bird would be able to return and perform at the same level he had at the end of 2015. However, this spring training, he proved a lot of those naysayers wrong by leading the team in most offensive categories. In fact, in 49 at-bats, he was able to provide a .429 average with 21 hits, 7 home runs, and 13 RBIs. And due to his performance not only at bat but also on the field, Joe Girardi has already announced that Greg Bird will be the opening day starter this Sunday. But although he has been pegged as the opening day starter, do not be surprised if he platoons with Chris Carter against lefties, because after all, Chris Carter, even though he strikes out a lot, he hit 40 home runs last year, so you can't just discount that amount of power. Unfortunately, at the moment, it seems that Tyler Austin is out of the picture, mostly due to the fact that in February he broke his foot and was ruled out for 6 weeks. Recent reports that I've seen online, though, have said that he's looking to come back in May, but it's probably going to be to AAA just to get him back into the swing of things, and hopefully later on in the season we're going to see him again, because after all, he is an exciting homegrown prospect. But let's move on to another position. Let's talk about right field now. The 2 players that were vying for that position were Aaron Judge and Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks came to the Yankees last season following a trade for J.R. Murphy. Miss you, Murph. Loved you to bits. And let's be honest, Hicks kind of disappointed us last season. Not a lot of Yankee fans were happy with his performances, mostly on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, he's pretty above average, but overall, I think they wanted to see more from him in the batter's box. And that's why I think it's a good thing that Joe Girardi, at the beginning of spring training, said, listen, right field's open for grabs. Aaron Judge is competing for it. Aaron Hicks is competing for it. Whoever does better is going to get the position. And in the end, everyone knows in sports, if there's a competition for your spot, you are going to do everything you can so you can play every day. And that's more or less what happened. Both Aaron Judge and Aaron Hicks had very solid springs. Aaron Judge posted a .344 batting average, which kind of calmed down the Yankees organization because when he came up last season, he was having a lot of trouble getting the bat to the ball. He had a lot of strikeouts, and Joe Girardi wasn't happy with it. Yankees fans weren't happy with it. I'm pretty sure Aaron Judge wasn't happy for it. But this spring training, if it's any indication to what we're going to see in the season, he's made very, very good progress. Hicks also had a solid spring. He posted a very respectable .273 batting average. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough. It came down to the wire, though. It came down to the wire. And Joe Girardi has announced that Aaron Judge will be the starting right fielder. Don't be surprised to see Aaron Hicks filling in at center field and left field as well, because in the end, Jacoby Ellsbury and Brett Gardner, they're both aging. They're going to need days off. So Aaron Hicks is going to fill that fourth outfielder role, which in my opinion, he fills well because he's got the speed, he's got the defense, and if his batting from spring training translates over to the regular season, then he can also offer a viable replacement for Brett Gardner, should the trade rumors be true and he actually ends up leaving the Yankees. And now let's move on to what was possibly the most interesting and hardly fought competition of this spring training, the 4 and 5 spots in that rotation. Number 1, of course, being Masahiro Tanaka, number 2 being CC, and number 3 being Big Mike Pineda, also known as Big Disappointment Pineda. There were multiple pitchers vying for those last 2 spots, them being Luis Severino, Adam Warren, Chad Green, Luis Sessa, and outsider Jordan Montgomery. Let's be honest, though. The Yankees rotation isn't the best in baseball. That title lies with either the Red Sox or the Mets. But the Yankees still have interesting players readily available to fill those 2 spots in the rotation. Luis Severino, of course, we saw him also come up in 2015. He showed really, really electric stuff, and he was brought back last season, but at the beginning of the 2016 season, he had no control over his changeup or his fastball, and he was sent down to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, our AAA affiliate, and then he came back at the end of the season as a reliever and was absolutely lights out. He continued to struggle from the starting spot, so a lot of people were discussing whether he should be in the bullpen or in the starting rotation, but let's not forget, Severino is only 22 years old, so it makes no sense to ship him off to the bullpen at such a young age, especially when he wants to start, and when he's on it, he is on it like a car bonnet. But overall, his spring training was kind of up and down. In 18 2/3 innings, he was able to notch up 20 strikeouts and also have a 3.38 ERA, which is very respectable for a pitcher, honestly. But he still struggled with control over his changeup and his fastball, so we're going to see if he can continue to develop that over the season and hope for the best. Another player that I was looking at to make an impact in this spring training was Luis Sessa, the young pitcher that the Yankees acquired from the Detroit Tigers in the Justin Wilson's trade before the 2016 season. He came up last year at the September call-ups, and he performed very, very admirably. He was drawing a lot of parallels to Andy Pettitte, at least from Michael Kay and Kenny Singleton. They were saying that his style of pitching, he's not throwing heat, but he's placing his pitches properly, and I was really hopeful for him. However, coming into spring training this year, he posted a 6.52 ERA in 9 2/3 innings pitched. In fact, last week he was optioned down to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, AAA, and I'm hoping that he's going to be able to get his stuff under control again because I really, really like him. I want to see him in the big league club again in the future. The other pitcher acquired in the trade with the Tigers for Justin Wilson was Chad Green. And even he was competing for a starting position with the big league club this spring. He posted a 1.50 ERA in 12 innings pitched with 8 strikeouts, which I thought was very, very good. But unfortunately, he was just sent down to AA Trenton. And I think that he's going to be a pitcher that we're definitely going to see again this season, especially if there's an injury or if one of the pitchers aren't really cutting it. So keep your eyes out for Chad Green. I really like him. Another pitcher that was out for the starting spot was Adam Warren, who has been shifting between the bullpen and starting spot since he began his career with the Yankees. This spring, he got a 4.50 ERA in 16 innings pitched with 12 strikeouts. Very admirable. But however, it's already been stated by Joe Girardi that he's going to start out the season in the bullpen, along with the other competitor, Jordan Montgomery, who really came out of nowhere. But both Montgomery and Warren are going to start out in the bullpen. But that's mostly due to the fact that the Yankees are not going to need their fifth straight starter until April 16th. Joe Girardi, as some of you may know, has already come out saying that he's not going to name the fifth starter until then. So in my opinion, what's going to happen now, Jordan Montgomery and Adam Warren are going to continue competing for that fifth spot in the rotation, but in the bullpen. They're both going to be put into games. One's a righty, one's a lefty, so they're both going to get equal opportunities. But I think that Adam Warren might just win out, mostly due to the fact that he has more experience at the big league level. But if Jordan Montgomery continues to show what he has in spring training, he's in there with a shout. But let's stop talking about spring training now. Let's talk about the 2017 Yankees lineup, what we can expect from them, what our expectations for the season should be. So let's start it off. Batting first, Brett Gardner, left field. Last year in 148 games, he posted a .261 average with 7 home runs, 41 RBIs, and 22 doubles. So Brett the Jet is one of the fan favorites, I would say, at this point, given the fact that he's been with the Yankees for a long time. He's a homegrown product. However, he's been the center of a lot of trade rumors because he's a very good player, made his first All-Star team, I think last year or the year before that. Don't quote me on it. But it's also because he's a good player, but also he has a very team-friendly contract, so I wouldn't be surprised in seeing him leave. And batting second would probably be Jacoby Ellsbury, even though it has been hinted that by Girardi that if he doesn't pick up his offense, he might be moved to the 9th spot. We'll see how that goes throughout the season. But last year in 551 at-bats, he posted a .263 average with 9 homers, 56 RBIs, and 20 stolen bases. He did, however, lead the team in caught stealing, which isn't the best thing for a player that's known for stealing bases, but I digress. The problem with Jacoby Ellsbury right now is that he's not performing up to his contract. He's said to be making $21.1 million this year, and he is entering his 4th year of the contract, so we are still going to be stuck with him, for lack of a better word, for the next 3 years. And I don't really see any way around this because it's such a fat contract that unless we continue paying the money, another team's not going to make a trade offer for him. Moving on to the number 3 spot, new starting catcher Gary Sanchez, who after years of being a highly touted prospect in the Yankees organization, finally emerged last year, came up to the big leagues, and oh my God, everyone knew he was good, but I don't think anyone thought he was going to be that good. In 201 at-bats, notching up 60 hits, 20 home runs, 42 RBIs. Wow. But the thing was, it wasn't just his offensive presence. He's also a very, very good defensive catcher. I saw him throw out multiple players last year, and it wasn't like Didi or Castro had to put their gloves off and tag them. No, he was throwing strikes. Neither of them had to even move their gloves to tag the players. It was very impressive. But that being said, we should really curb our expectations for him. He's a young player. He's only 24 years old, and this is going into his first full season in the big leagues. I really hope that he can continue to do what he did last year. That would be fantastic, but I think that it's reasonable to expect above average offense, above average defense. I'm probably going to say around a 2.89 average, 25 to 30 home runs. That's my personal expectation, and I think that's relatively reasonable given what he showed us last year. But moving on to the cleanup position, newly signed designated hitter Matt Holliday. He comes from last year with the St. Louis Cardinals. He's always been a very good player. Always really liked him from his time in Colorado to his half a year in Oakland. But last year, in 382 at-bats, he posted a .246 average with 20 home runs and 62 RBIs. I'm hoping that he can possibly elevate his numbers, mostly due to the fact that last year he was playing in the National League, obviously no DH there, and hopefully him not playing every day in the field will translate to better performance in the batter's box. But that's not the only thing that counts in baseball. We all know that. He's a veteran player. He's coming in to add another veteran presence, given the fact that we lost Brian McCann, Mark Teixeira, and Alex Rodriguez after last season. A-Rod and Teixeira obviously having retired, and Brian McCann being traded to the Astros for 2 young, promising pitchers. Batting fifth, first baseman Greg Bird, who in 2015, in 46 games played, posted a 2.61 average with 11 home runs, 31 RBIs, and a very decent walk rate, 19 walks. So I'm hoping that he's able to continue what he's shown not only in 2015, but also over the course of a very, very impressive spring training. And what I see here is, honestly, in my opinion, a future Yankee captain. He's a good leader. Not only that, he's a very good player. He's a lefty, and his swing is going to absolutely be perfect for Yankee Stadium. But he's also a very, very good defensive first baseman. So I think that he just adds to the young core that the Yankees are building. Greg Bird is very much a player to look out for next season, and I really think this is going to be his breakout year, and everyone's going to be saying Greg Bird is a superstar. Batting sixth, this is where it gets tricky. Let's be honest. If Aaron Judge continues to get contact on the ball and showcase that power that we've all been waiting to see, then he's probably going to insert himself right around this spot. But right now, as it stands, I see second baseman Starlin Castro filling this position. Last year, in 577 at-bats, 270 average with 21 home runs, 70 RBIs, and 30 extra base hits. So I think that Starlin Castro, he drew the ire of a lot of Yankee fans last year, but that was mostly due to the fact that he struck out a lot. He struck out a total of 118 times. Wow, he has to get that under control, and it seems that he's trying to do that more. He's waiting for his pitch more. At least that's what I've seen from watching spring training games. Hopefully he can perform better on the field as well. He had a few errors at the beginning of the season. Sometimes wasn't really reliable. I remember that foul ball that he dropped in one game. That was a little embarrassing, but I fully expect Castro to have a very solid 2017 season. Batting seventh, third baseman Chase Headley. Chase Headley gets a lot of criticism, some of it unfounded, some of it founded. A lot of people, when he had his first full season in New York, he had a lot of problems on the field, committed a lot of errors, and his performance at the plate is average. I think Chase Headley's probably, at best, an average third baseman in this league. He's definitely not a Manny Machado. But I digress. I think after his season last year, where in 467 at-bats he posted a 253 average, hit 14 home runs, and had 51 RBIs, I think he can, if he gives us more of the same, if he could maybe boost those stats a little bit. I'm not saying that he has to all of a sudden hit 325 and hit 70 home runs. I'm saying if he can get it up to a 280, 290, maybe get a few more RBIs in there, maybe get it up to 70, 80 RBIs, that would be the ideal thing for the Yankees right now, especially in a year where the youth movement is in full swing. So Chase Headley batting seventh. I think that he could have a good season. Don't look at him to have a spectacular season, though. Batting eighth, right fielder Aaron Judge. I talked about him before in the show. Last year, like I said, was pretty mediocre from him in his 27 games. I think 27 games. Is that right? Yes, I'm reading correctly. He posted an abysmal average of .179 with 42 strikeouts. And like I said, it seems that in this spring he's made some adjustments in the batter's box. He's getting his bat to the ball a little more. So I think if he's able to build upon what he's done this spring, he's going to be able to showcase that power that Yankees fans have been drooling over since he first entered our system. So Aaron Judge, I think if he's able to continue developing throughout the season, he's going to do very well, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him even jump up a few spots in the lineup towards the sixth position, maybe even five. It really depends on how everyone's performing in the year. But overall, Aaron Judge batting eighth doesn't seem like too ridiculous of a thing right now. Hopefully his swing will be cleaner and he'll be able to hit some more monster home runs like the ones we've seen this spring training. Batting ninth, Ronald Torreyes. What? Ronald Torreyes? Where's Didi? Well, of course, at this point, I really hope people know. Didi Gregorius injured his shoulder in the World Baseball Classic when he was playing for Team Netherlands. Very unfortunate. He's supposed to be out for a month. That's a very big blow to the New York Yankees this year. However, I think that Ronald Torreyes is probably the best alternative they have right now. Gleyber Torres wasn't ready to be on the starting lineup in opening day. Tyler Wade, same story. And for God's sake, don't even talk to me about Pete Kozma. Please, Pete Kozma, no. For the love that is all and good and holy, keep him away from the big league club. But last year, Torreyes was our utility player, playing a multitude of positions in the infield, but also sometimes in the outfield. 72 games and 155 at-bats, posted a 2.58 average with 1 home run, 12 RBIs, and a couple of extra base hits. I think Torreyes he's a solid player. He's young. He's only 24. A lot of people forget that. But in the end of last season, he got a hot streak to the point that he was almost forcing Chase Headley to not play because even Joe Girardi was saying if he's forcing me to play him because he's hitting the ball really well, and he's a very, very good defender. So right now, Torreyes is going to be filling in for Didi Gregorius. I think, once Didi comes back, Torreyes is going to return to his spot on the bench as the utility infielder. But there you have it. That is, in my opinion, what the 2017 Yankees lineup is going to look like. Well, for now, Torreyes, obviously, Didi's going to come in when he's healthy. But batting first is going to be Brett Gardner. Second, Jacoby Ellsbury. Third, Gary Sanchez. Fourth, Matt Holliday. Fifth, Greg Bird. Sixth, Starlin Castro. Seventh, Chase Headley. Eighth, Aaron Judge. And in the bottom spot, Ronald Torreyes. So now it's time to talk about starting pitching. Like I said before, the Yankees don't exactly have the strongest starting rotation. They only really have one ace, and that, of course, is Masahiro Tanaka. But I think that if the Yankees are able to have enough offense, that won't really matter much. But regardless, our starting pitcher on opening day will be Masahiro Tanaka, who last year, after 31 games started and almost 200 innings, posted a 3.07 ERA with 165 strikeouts, 68 earned runs, allowed 22 home runs, and gave up 36 walks. Tanaka is one of the best pitchers in the major leagues right now, and that's a well-documented fact. A lot of people really like him. The big question has always been the slightly torn tendon in his elbow. If that ever tears, that's going to be pretty bad for the Yankees, given the fact that he's the only ace in the staff. But Tanaka, I look to him doing more of the same this year, especially since he's been working with Gary Sanchez all spring and over the offseason. So I think he's going to do very, very well yet again. Pitching second in the rotation is going to be CC Sabathia this year, and there's been many reports at spring training that Sabathia has been doing a lot of talking to Andy Pettitte, which is a very good thing. As some of you may remember, towards the beginning of his career, Sabathia was a flamethrower. He relied on how hard he threw the ball. But now, since he's been aging, he's had issues with his knees as well and his weight. He's found out that he can't throw the ball as hard, and talking to Andy Pettitte is probably the best thing he could do right now. Pettitte, as some of the older Yankee fans will remember, was very well known for how he placed his pitches. He was a very finesse pitcher, and it seems that Sabathia is trying to make the switch from flamethrower to finesse, and if he does that, that'll be a very good thing for his career, but also a very good thing for the Yankees. Last year, in 179 and two-thirds innings pitched, Sabathia was able to get his ERA to a 3.91. He struck out 152, but he also gave up 22 home runs, but that's the same as Masahiro Tanaka, which is also a really good thing. But I think that Sabathia, if he's able to get his finesse down, get the placement of his pitches, he's going to do more of the same, which is exactly what the Yankees are hoping for right now. And of course, CC is CC. He provides such a great clubhouse presence for all these young players that are coming through right now. So look at CC to have a solid 2017. Pitching third in the rotation is going to be Michael Pineda. Michael Pineda is probably one of the most frustrating players I've ever watched in my life. There's games where he is absolutely electric, and then there's games that he's pitching like he's still a single-A ball player. That being said, though, if Pineda can get his head straight, if he can just focus, get his pitches right, because he's a great pitcher. Of course, though, some of you may remember we got him in a trade from Seattle for Jesus Montero, and at the moment it seems that the Yankees kind of won the trade, but at the same time, the frustration that Michael Pineda has given us, he's probably made his age at least 15 years in the past few seasons. But like I said, I digress. Last year in 32 games played, he posted a 4.82 GPA. Yep, 4.82 GPA. You are an honor student, Michael Pineda. 4.82 ERA, which honestly is very, very poopy. So if Pineda can get his head straight, just focus, get the pitching right, He's a tricky player to really figure out what we can expect from him. So honestly, I'm not going to make any predictions. I'm just going to say we're probably going to get more of the same from him. And the fourth spot in the rotation falls to Yankee product Luis Severino, who when he started out last season as a starter was very, 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 very poor. In 11 games started, he posted an 8.50 ERA, allowing 11 home runs, and he struck out 41, which is very good, but 11 home runs. He gives up the long ball. He was sent down to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, our AAA affiliate, and then he came up later in the season as a reliever, and when he came up, he was electric. 23 and a third innings pitched, 0.39 ERA. But then when he went back to starting, yeah. A lot of people have been discussing whether he should be in the bullpen or as a starting pitcher. Severino said he wants to start, and I think that's where he should be right now. He's only 22, 23 years old. He's very young, so it would not be a smart move on the Yankees organization to pigeonhole him to the bullpen, but at the same time, don't move him back and forth between the bullpen because that's not exactly a great idea. Look at Adam Warren, look at Phil Hughes, look at Jabba Chamberlain. The Yankees really need to start managing their young pitching prospects better, and Luis Severino is the best of the bunch so far. So this year, I'm hoping that Severino can really get his changeup and fastball under control. He was said in interviews during this spring training that he's been talking to Masahiro Tanaka a lot, through an interpreter, obviously, unless Tanaka speaks Spanish. That would be phenomenal. Or Severino speaks Japanese. I wonder, huh? Regardless, Tanaka preached to Severino patience, so much so that Severino even stated that he wrote patience in the bill of his hat. So I'm hoping that this newfound approach to pitching is going to be good for him. That's what he wants. That's what the Yankees want. That's what the fans want. And I really like Severino. He's such a young kid. I think he's going to have a stellar career if he can develop and continue to grow, not only as a person, but as a player. So now let's talk about our bullpen. These are the pitchers we have. Chasen Shreve, Brian Mitchell, Jonathan Holder, Tommy Lane, Adam Warren, Tyler Clippard, our setup man, Dellin Betances, and Aroldis Chapman. Overall, I think it's a very good back end. Hopefully, players like Brian Mitchell and Adam Warren will be able to add a lot to that bullpen in terms of quality. So I'm really hoping that the bullpen, if our starting pitching isn't that good, they'll be able to help us win games. And they're going to help us win games by getting their pitches right, getting their location right, and being able to hand the ball to one of Betances or Chapman when we're in the lead so we can put that win away. But in conclusion, this is going to be a very, very exciting year for New York Yankees baseball. I am really excited. Playoffs are a very real possibility if the rotation holds up, if our young players play to their potential. But I'm getting goosebumps right now. Opening day is just around the corner, and that's all the time I've got for you today. Don't hesitate to reach out to me on Twitter. My handle's in the description below. If you want, you can like the video. If you want, you can subscribe. I don't care. I'm going to keep doing this anyway, regardless of subscribers and whatnot. You guys have a great day, and let's go Yankees.